My weekly trip to the dump for skills and jokes helped me stumble upon something I realized I had completely forgotten about: the overdose, just lying there in the trash. Once upon a time, it was supposed to be the saving grace of all medic escape artists, but lo and behold how the fates have conspired against it. Over time, the crossbow had, in the blink of an eye, slowly become an absolute necessity for any competent medic, and as such, the overdose fell to the side, rejected and forgotten. But far be it for me to call something worthless, so here's how we can make something great out of what looks like a third grade science fair project about how many needles you can fit into a human being before they get pissed off. By the way, the answer is 1. Where to start? Well, let's talk about why the overdose is this bad. First off, the damage penalty is the most obvious downside and probably the most negligible. 10% less damage on a syringe gun is a whopping 1 point difference, and very few people use the overdose as an actual weapon to begin with, so that's not quite the problem. No, the biggest issue is this line right here, while active. This means that in order for the speed boost to have any effect whatsoever, you have got to actually be holding the damn thing, God forbid. It might not seem like a problem, but all it does is force you to put away your metagun. I mean, the Blutsauger does that too, but even then, there's at least a higher chance of living. I know I compare the Blutsauger and the overdose to each other a lot, but it's because I kinda see them in the same boat as far as weapons go. Neither of them can scratch up to anything what the crossbow is, and they just seem to be kind of varying cuts of the same meat. Obviously the Blutsauger is probably like some sort of delicious sirloin steak, and the other one's probably like a cow hoof, but you get my point. And as it just so happens that in order to get the full 10% speed boost, you have to have full Uber charge, which is another problem. You need to be able to pop your Uber at a moment's notice, and switching to the overdose to run slightly faster and then switching back to the metagun takes a little bit more than a moment and could cost you a charge. Really, the only time that speed boost comes in handy is when you're getting chased down, and at that point, it's better to have your metagun out, if not to right-click, but in casual games to be able to pick up your metagun again if you're killed. And in the grand scheme of things, that 10% really isn't that much of a bonus to begin with. I mean, you're giving up the ability to fully heal someone from across the map for this much extra distance. That's not exactly a dramatic difference. On top of that, the crossbow can deal some beefy damage too, meanwhile the overdose just plain lacks a punch. At least with the Blutsauger, you get something to counter your ass being sanded off. Otherwise, it's just a contest of who can outdamage the other, and needless to say, with the overdose, you're always going to be at the disadvantage. Of course, it's kind of like the medic's life story, but, you know, who's counting? So, the overdose has some room for improvement, sure, but the question is, how do we fix it? Well, the easiest answer is getting rid of this little skid mark right here. Just having a passive speed boost directly proportional to your Uber charge could work really well. Sure, it's no crossbow, but it'll at least be somewhat viable. That's an easy one, no problem making that a thing. That's like 3 lines of code. Just think, we could be 3 lines away from an incredible overdose. Wait. If you want to make it even better, make it boost your speed up to 10% all the time and then double that during Uber charge. A 10% speed boost is a godsend in 6s. We need some extra dash at the start of the round, not when the metagun's climaxing. The med is literally the slowest class, and having even a tiny bit of Sonic the Hedgehog in him at the start is something a lot of us really need. There's all kinds of simple tweaks and changes that can be made, and not only would they be useful, but I'm pretty sure they'd be fun too. Running as fast as a scout when you're Uber charged sounds like a lot of fun, honestly. It would sure help the medic escape if he had a force pop, and it could even make scouts a more viable option as an Uber target. The overdose's current stats have potential, but it's not quite at its best yet. But why stop there? The overdose could do so much more. What if you could build a meter on the overdose by dealing damage and then use it later to replenish your health? What about being able to target players, friendly or not, so that you can keep track of them for a short period of time? Or maybe even a syringe gun that when you right-click, you jump twice as high. The possibilities are endless. You could even get really silly with it and make it so you can run at 110% speed backwards. That would make the medic rollouts in 6s much more interesting. For the record, that running faster backwards is my favorite, and I hope to God they make that a thing. If there's one thing for sure, it's time we fix the overdose, and there are so many ways it could be so much better. What I want to know is how you would fix it. What would you do to make this pathetic syringe gun non-pathetic? Well folks, my name is ArraySeven, and this has been How to Fix the Overdose. I hope you all have a wonderfully handsome rest of your day.
I'm the invincible, undefeated champion. Mount Zion's my ancestors can't rely on. Star of David? Nah, the thought of stardom. Martyrdom and done, crumbs left to the dumb thumb. To this play button, glutton of words. Mutton, birds of fly to fly to you, dropping turds. Hopping up on ignorance to feel high your body. Pop up the real, dance the visual, cry to deity. Pious piety might it be to see is truly to be me. I see a